Hey y'all, how you doing today? So League of Pantheons just became available to global yesterday, but this game has already been available for download in other countries for an extended period of time. So we already have tier lists and reroll strategies lined up that we could go ahead and take advantage of as new players. I have one pulled up right now from the mobile gaming staff that we could go ahead and peruse ourselves. So without wasting too much time, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. League of Pantheons tier list, best heroes and reroll method. Pull for only the best heroes with our League of Pantheons launch day tier list. Looking to climb the ranks of another mobile RPG? You'll want to build your team around the current best heroes in the League of Pantheons tier list. It's early days for the latest in a long line of mobile auto battle RPGs, so the tier list is still subject to a lot of changes as new characters and balance patches roll out. But as a starting player, you'll want to aim for the highest on the list right now if you're to have any chance of keeping up. So they're basically saying, what's up, this is our game, our tier list matters, just listen to us and take the characters that we think are good. By pulling for characters high on the League of Pantheons tier list at launch, you'll stand the best chance of pushing through the campaign and staying atop the PvP leaderboards as you flesh out your teams and strategies. And the better you do early on, the more rewards you'll reap to keep yourself on top as bigger and better characters release. Here we have a picture of Valkyrie and their League of Pantheons tier list. Their S tier has Venus, Pandora, Nidhogg, Abaddon, and Ilcia. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to cut to a different section for each of these characters where I cover a small summary of their abilities and tell you why I think they would be placed there. Venus is a light element mage that does an astronomical amount of area of effect damage. Pandora is a dark element support that debuffs the entire enemy team while shielding herself. Nidhogg is a dark element warrior that uses physical damage and curses to deal a lot of damage. Abaddon is a dark element tank that uses defensive skills to deal curse damage to the enemies as well. Ilcia is an ocean faction area of effect attacker who has multiple area of effects at her disposal and can deal a lot of damage to groups. The one thing that I'm noticing about all of these S tier units is that they boast area of effect attacks, essentially making it easier for them to carry your team through entire stages by themselves, but 4 out of 5 are light dark units, which are very hard to build for free to play. And moving on in A tier, Zeus, Raphael, Hel, DPH, Ariel, and Yormagon. Zeus is able to inflict a lot of area of effect attacks that inflict disabilities. Raphael heals all allies before and after death while also supplying attack buffs. Hel can deal area of effect damage and recover HP to herself. Simultaneously, she can kill enemies whenever they reach 30% health. DPH is the Divine High Priest, which has a lot of healing available for your entire team, and she can also revive dead allies. Ariel is able to heal your allies while supplying an attack buff. She can also bring allies back to life. Yormagon is a self-buffing mage that deals increased damage to enemies at maximum health, and they can freeze. And if I had to guess, these guys are probably in A tier because of some gimmick that makes them just simply not as good as the S tier units. And for the sake of this video not being extraordinarily long, I'm going to go ahead and group B, C, and D tier by their tier instead of their units. I will still be looking at all of their kits, but instead of going over them individually, I will jump straight to the end part where I tell you why I think they're in that tier. In B tier, Dionysus, Gaiming, Cynthia, Sphinx, Fenrir, Valkyrie, and Hamdel. If I had to guess why these guys are in the B tier, I would say it's because we're moving away from area of effect attackers and these characters have more of a focus on single target damage. Though that can be a little bit confusing because Sphinx is widely regarded as one of the best carries for the beginning of the game. C tier, Illyria, Hera, Titan, Ratatoskr, Poseidon, Neza, and Phoenix. I think that these characters are in the C tier because they're probably just characters that whoever made this list hadn't used yet. Titan is carrying some of the top players in my server right now, and he certainly is not a C tier unit. And characters like Rata here would be an S tier PvP unit, so why they would be in the C tier on this list, I'm not sure. In the D tier, Hades, Dark Lord, Anubis, Odin, Loki, and Prometheus. These units are definitely in D tier because they were not fully built whenever they were judged. For example, this character Prometheus is able to heal your entire team every single time they crit. Your entire team casting crits every single attack is something that you would rely on near endgame. So if they never had a Prometheus at endgame, they would have no idea where to place them, which would be why I'm seeing them here in D tier. At this point, we're starting to fade away from the accuracy of this list and see what it really is. And lastly, in the F tier, Wormlich, Athena, Ainslan, Magma Fiend, Seraph, Pan, and Apollo. Now for the F tier, I would go as far as to agree with you that some of these characters are complete trash. For example, Ainslan I'm not too fond of because in order to be successful, she has to be the one dealing the killing blows. If there's one thing that I suspect, it's that a lot of characters were placed lower than they should have been simply because they weren't an element that's light or dark. Just because a character is light or dark doesn't mean that they're instantly better than all of the other characters. But the game has just released for a global launch, so we do have a lot more eyes on these tier lists and a lot more people crowdsourcing information. So that covers what I think about why these characters were placed here. Now I'll continue on with the main point of the video. Now there are definitely a lot of things that is wrong with just making a tier list like this. One, this is even low detail for a tier list in general, but tier lists are always low detail. This is completely useless to me. It has no information on the character's abilities, no information on where to use them, or not even links to like biographies of how you should build them. This is a terrible tier list. Whether it's accurate or not, I'm sure it might be with how much time the game has been out, but you could have at least wrote a sentence for every single character. So I did go over them as much as I could as a new player. We will be recovering them as we learn more, but let's go ahead and continue forward with the post from that disclaimer. The current League of Pantheons tier list includes only 5-star characters for the time being, nor does it take team synergy into account, weighed only in the row of strength and abilities of each individual character. It isn't to say a randomly stacked team of S-tier League of Pantheon heroes will defeat a well-built and thought-out team consisting of heroes spread across different tiers and rarities. They're saying that just by looking at their kits from their stats and abilities alone is what has placed them here, not synergy or team building exercises at all. As such, it is worth only taking the current League of Pantheons tier list at face value. Early on, when 5-star heroes are at a premium, the key is to use the tier list as a reference point when building a team. Either build a team around the strengths and weaknesses of a 5-star character you already have, or pad a new team with your desired roles from across hero rarities and use the tier list to find which 5-star hero in your collection is best suited to fill the final slot. The rest of this page just basically has a lot of jargon on the specifics of what it takes to level up and star up characters, but I will leave a link to this website in the description if you want to go ahead and check it out yourself. And they said it themselves. This is not a definitive tier list. This is in no way taking into account synergy or strategy of endgame teams. This is just at face value characters that they think would be valuable for you to pull for in the beginning of the game. You definitely need to exercise caution whenever you're looking at websites like this and taking advice like this, because for all we know, burn units that are being rated in the B tier and D tier could end up being top tier endgame units whenever they synergize with each other. You never know. There's already been at least 7 disclaimers in this video, but all in all, this should be a little bit helpful to new players at least. I do plan on making my own tier list that will be 100% accurate and take into consideration the differences between PvP, PvE, and the character's uniqueness. Something like that doesn't usually come out from me for a few months, but if you're wanting to stick around and see what my tier list would look like, then please like and subscribe so that you can see that in the future. If you're getting bored and this game isn't really your type of game, then please feel free to peruse the links in my description of a bunch of different games that you could download that help directly support the channel. But other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.